Hour with the 2009-2010 regular legislative session finally wrapped up in Madison. What will the impact be on the citizens of the state with the bills that have passed the legislature and are headed to the governor's desk?
Well, depending on who you ask, there were some big accomplishments, but others argue that large issues did not get done. Fox 11's Cameron Clark brings us multiple views.
It was viewed by some as a continuation session from last year. The biggest focus by the state legislature in 2010, getting people back to work.
The legislature has given us some really good tools, as I said, in the area of economic development. We have some real opportunities here, and so clearly that's number one.
In this last session, we invested about $16 million in new job creation incentives.
Assembly Majority Leader Tom Nelson says the legislature also tackled some important social issues. Atop of the list, he says, were numerous health care bills focusing on price transparency, access, and coverage. Also, the passing of Badger Care Basic, which expands the number of people who can buy into the state's insurance pool. For education, a bill allowing the state superintendent to intervene in chronically underperforming schools. Also, a reform on what has been called predatory payday loan practices.
With big spending, big government, deficits.
Senate Republican Alan Lassay says the session was a lot more of the same. What he calls the three biggest victories are the same things Nelson says were the biggest issues left on the table. Those are the Clean Energy Jobs Act, which includes renewable energy regulations, elections reform for campaign financing, and the Fox Cities Regional Transit Authority, or RTA, to increase sales tax for public transportation expansions.
They're not going to go away, except that I think there's a mood swing, and I think one house or both could go Republican, or even the governor's office could go Republican. That's going to make the big difference right there.
Regardless of what happens in this election, I think that you are going to continue to see a continued interest in those issues. I think we've made a lot of progress.
Both Nelson and Lassay agree that passing a ban on texting while driving was a major public safety step. And both sides say it is also possible to be called back for a special session this year. Cameron Clark, Fox 11 News.
Now that the legislature has wrapped up for this session, what does the governor think about it? Well, Governor Doyle says he does not believe any emergency work will be needed to further balance the state's budget. He says lawmakers passed the two-year budget last year, and since then he says no action's been needed to keep it balanced. However, the governor does go on to say that the current economy is so volatile, there's no way to know for sure what will happen. He says if tax collections go in the tank, then the legislature may have to come back to work.